From the moment I walked into their family dinner as his fiancée, I felt it: cold stares, forced smiles, the way she called me the girl instead of my name. My mother-in-law never liked me, not because I was rude or disrespectful, but because I wasn't the woman she had picked out for her son years before he even knew what love was. She whispered doubts into his ears, twisted every kind gesture into manipulation, and even pretended to faint at our wedding to steal the spotlight. But I loved him. I loved him enough to stay, even when she tried everything to make me leave. Then came the night of the fire. We had just argued. She told me to leave her son before I destroyed his life. He didn't hear, he was at work. I left her house in tears, but I saw the smoke halfway down the street. I turned back, flames clawed through the windows, neighbors screamed, and without thinking I ran in. She was trapped in the kitchen. When I carried her out, coughing and burned, something changed in her eyes. Not just gratitude, something deeper, maybe regret. But it was too late to fix everything. The paramedics arrived seconds after I laid her on the lawn. Her dress was charred, her eyes filled with disbelief. She didn't say a word, neither did I. I stood barefoot in the cold grass. My arm burned from the wooden beam I shoved aside to get her out. I didn't feel the pain yet. I just watched them lift her onto the stretcher, her hand slipping out to reach for something, someone. She took mine. I don't know what shocked me more, the fire or the fact that she didn't let go. My husband, David, arrived an hour later. His face turned white when he saw the ambulance. Then confusion, then heartbreak. He ran to me first, pulling me into his arms, touching my blistered shoulder, whispering my name like a prayer. Then he turned to his mother, who was conscious now, wrapped in gauze and oxygen tubes. "She saved me," she said hoarsely. I looked away. She didn't speak again that night. The hospital became our second home for the next few weeks. She had smoke inhalation and second-degree burns. I had a few burns too, mostly my right arm and part of my neck. Still, I visited her every day. David tried to come with me, but there were moments I went alone, to face her, to understand. One rainy afternoon, she asked me to close the door behind the nurse. Her voice was shaky but clear. "I never hated you," she said, breaking the silence. I looked at her, my heart pounded. "You had a strange way of showing it." She sighed, closing her eyes. I was scared. Of losing my son, of not mattering anymore. Tears welled up in mine. "I never tried to take him from you, I just loved him." "I know," she whispered. "I saw it in the fire, the way you came for me, when even I wouldn't have blamed you for walking away." She started crying then. So did I. It wasn't a perfect moment. It wasn't forgiveness wrapped in a bow, but it was real. And sometimes, that's where healing begins. But what none of us knew then was that the fire wasn't an accident. Someone had lit it. And the truth about who and why was about to tear our lives apart all over again. 3 weeks after the fire, the official report arrived. Electrical fault. That's what they wrote. That's what they wanted us to believe. But then I found the lighter. It was tucked beneath the hedges by the side of the house, barely visible unless you were crouched low, picking up pieces of charred mail like I was that morning. It was red, cheap, but on its side, scratched in messy letters, was a name. Mine. I froze. The air left my lungs, as if I'd stepped into the fire all over again. I took it to David. "Look at this." I whispered, my hands trembling. This was planted. He stared at it, at me, then at the name scratched into the metal. His voice dropped. "Are you saying someone tried to frame you?" My throat was dry. "It has to be someone who wants to ruin us." His expression darkened. "Or someone who already thinks you ruined them." We both thought of the same person. His ex. The one his mother had wanted him to marry. The one who still called his mother Mom. The one who once stood outside our home screaming that I was a thief. David hadn't spoken to her in over a year, or so I thought. That night I couldn't sleep. His phone buzzed around midnight. He was in the shower. I glanced at the screen. "Unknown number. You should have let her burn. I was giving you a clean start." I couldn't breathe. The walls of our home felt like they were closing in again. This wasn't over, and I was no longer just a daughter-in-law trying to be accepted. Now I was a target. I stared at the message until the screen went black. "You should have let her burn." My hand shook as I placed the phone face down on the dresser. When David came out of the shower, towel around his waist, humming softly like nothing in our world had shattered, I plastered a smile on my face. My voice came out thin. "Who's texting you this late?" He barely glanced at the phone. "Probably spam. I've been getting weird messages lately." I nodded, but my heart was in my throat. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I visited his mother again. She looked stronger, more alert. Her voice didn't sound like smoke anymore, just time and regret. I was helping her sip warm tea when she spoke suddenly, eyes locked on mine. She came to see me, before the fire. My hand froze. Who? I asked. Clara, she whispered. David's ex. She said she missed our family. Said you didn't belong. She looked at the curtains and asked if we still had that old gas heater in the back room. My spine went cold. She asked about the heater, I said slowly. She nodded. I didn't think anything of it until now. I sat in silence, rage and fear twisting in my chest. Clara had been in the house. Clara had seen me. Clara had watched me walk out in tears after that horrible argument. And maybe, just maybe, she lit the fire right after. And now, she was texting my husband, pretending she did it for him. No, I wouldn't let her destroy us. I kissed my mother-in-law on the cheek before I left the hospital. And this time, she held my hand a little longer. When I got home, David was asleep on the couch. I took his phone, screenshot the message, and forwarded it to my email. I needed proof. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I messaged Clara. I know what you did. Meet me tomorrow, alone. Because this wasn't just about the fire. This was about everything Clara had stolen from me, peace, safety, and nearly a life. And I was done running. I chose the cafe across town, neutral ground, quiet, with wide glass windows, so she couldn't trap me in a corner. I wore a wire beneath my sweater, connected to a recorder, hidden in my purse. I wasn't stupid. I knew this meeting could end badly. She walked in like nothing in the world scared her, heels clicking, lipstick sharp, and a smile as smug as a fox standing in front of a henhouse. Still standing, she said as she sat down across from me. Impressive. I thought you'd at least leave him after the fire. I kept my face calm, my voice steady. I'm not going anywhere, Clara. She laughed softly, leaning forward. Oh, honey, I'm not here to fight for him. I'm here because you poked the wrong ghost. What do you want from us? I asked, already pressing record in my bag. Clara tilted her head. I wanted to remind him what I meant to his family. What I was, but you ruined everything. His mother used to call me daughter. Now she talks about you like you're some kind of hero. I stared at her, silent. She continued, voice low. I saw you leave her house crying that night. Perfect timing. You made it so easy. There it was. My stomach turned, but I didn't let it show. You lit the fire, I whispered. She smiled. Prove it. I reached into my bag and pulled out my phone. Open, recording still running. Her smile faded. You think he'll believe you? She hissed, voice cracking. You think anyone will care? People like me don't lose. I stood. You already have, Clara. You just don't know it yet. I walked out without looking back, my hands shaking. I sent the audio to David before I reached the car. He didn't reply right away. But when I got home, he was waiting. And this time, his face wasn't confused. It was furious. Pack a bag, he said. We're pressing charges. And just like that, for the first time since I married into his family, I wasn't the one fighting alone. I had a husband beside me, and a mother-in-law who now called me daughter. But Clara wasn't done yet. The days that followed moved like a whirlwind. We handed the recording to the police. Clara was brought in for questioning. At first, she denied everything, crying, twisting the story, playing the victim. But the audio was clear. Her voice, her words, her confession. And then, they found the fingerprints on the lighter. Her fingerprints, the one with my name scratched into it. The evidence was undeniable. She was arrested and charged with arson and attempted murder. The court process was long and draining, but David was with me every step of the way. So was his mother, who now invited me for tea, called me sweetheart, and introduced me proudly as her daughter-in-law to everyone who visited. The fire had destroyed half her home, but it rebuilt something we never thought possible, our relationship. On the day Clara was sentenced, I sat beside David in the courtroom. He held my hand tightly, not letting go for even a second. When the judge declared the sentence, 10 years without parole, I felt a release in my chest, like I could finally breathe. Clara didn't look at us as she was led away. She had lost, not just her freedom, but the power she once held over our lives. Months later, we rebuilt David's mother's house together. New walls, fresh paint, and a garden she always dreamed of. One afternoon, while planting lavender by the front steps, she said softly, "You saved more than my life that night. You saved our family." I looked at her and smiled, because for the first time, I truly felt like I belonged. Clara had tried to destroy us with fire, but all she did was forge us, stronger, united, and unshakable. And from those ashes, we built something no flame could ever burn again. Trust, love, family.